Let's bring in talkSPORT senior football correspondent Ben Jacobs to bring us the very latest on where Gianni Infantino stands and what might happen moving forward. Ben, the floor is yours. What's the latest?
Yeah, good evening. So a big development. We knew that today there were crisis talks, and now the outcome, according to FIFA sources, is constructive and positive discussions held in Rabat with Gianni Infantino, FIFA president, who was later and significantly pictured at a women's AFCON game alongside General Secretary Matthias Grafstrom, one of the senior figures who wrote previously to FIFA staff and effectively had called out an unnamed individual, largely seen to be Gianni Infantino, and apologised and said he felt the FIFA forward enterprise privatisation plans were wrong. And that was an example, along with COO Kevin Lamore and also Carlos Cadero, the latter quit, senior advisor to Infantino, pictured with him with Trump at the Oval Office. Lamore basically said, if you want to sack me, you can, but I'm going to speak out. And everything around Infantino was crumbling. Now, Grafstrom and Infantino smiling at a game together this evening in Morocco, and they have written, I can tell you, a letter in solidarity to the FIFA vice presidents and the FIFA Council that has been seen by myself and talkSPORT this evening. And that letter backs Gianni Infantino, who intends to carry on. And an apology was made in that letter for that failed FIFA Forward Enterprise project. Now, the letter says, and I quote a little bit of it, for the avoidance of doubt, the FIFA Secretary General, that's Grafstrom, and the management board in attendance reaffirm their full support for FIFA President Gianni Infantino as the only official elected by the 211 FIFA member associations. One point here for balance, and I stress a key phrase. It says those in attendance.
Yeah.
So there may be others that were not there that take a different opinion. Then the letter goes on to say, we are fully confident the outcome of today's meeting will strengthen FIFA's governance, help restore confidence in the organisation and enable us to prepare for major events. Infantino and Grafstrom both signed this letter, and they acknowledge, quote, mistakes were made in the process of the proposed establishment of FIFA Forward Enterprise. So Gianni Infantino will see this as significant because it strengthens his position, at least on paper. But don't forget, the same day has seen a story in the Times alleging that Gianni Infantino offered the World Cup final to Morocco over Spain. FIFA deny that, but sources in the Moroccan Federation have told talkSPORT talks have taken place about staging that game in Casablanca. And still, it comes down to the same point. Does Gianni Infantino have enough federations to keep that number at 106 or more? If he does, he will stand. If he loses more votes, then the door becomes open to another challenger.
Ben, my question is, it would seem to me, if Gianni Infantino is pictured smiling with Grafstrom, who just a couple of days ago had criticised him, that there must be, and I can't say this for sure, but there must be a level of confidence amongst Infantino and his allies that they have enough support for him to win the next election. If that's the is that the case?
I'm not so sure, because there's optics at play, right? And Gianni Infantino's not going to go to a game with the General Secretary and look glum or have somebody sit in between them. Camera goes on, anyone can play to a camera. Let's remember, Gianni Infantino's learnt from the best at creating a narrative in Donald Trump. Like Trump or loathe Trump, he knows how to play to a camera, and so does Gianni Infantino. So this is a carefully orchestrated narrative. FIFA were never going to say these talks were not constructive. They were never going to reveal those that maybe didn't want to be a part of them or refused to attend. And the main thing is to find solidarity. And I have to say, he's handled it very well, Infantino, because this is the best possible outcome. A letter that is co-signed, so it's not just him. And in addition, a photograph showing all smiles, business as usual. It's about as much as Gianni Infantino can do. But we mustn't forget, Carlos Cadero has already quit. The COO, Kevin Lamore, has spoken about being deceived. Many federations are disappointed because they were blindsided by these plans. Other federations are probably privately disappointed because they haven't got their 40 million US dollars by joining these plans. And Gianni Infantino cannot get out of this mess just by writing a letter.
Yeah.
So this is a strong next step because it tells us the FIFA president intends to fight on. But it again all comes back to the votes that lie beneath the politics and the smoke and mirrors. None of this really matters because Infantino is going to maintain he is strong and he's going to win. And now the ball is back in UEFA's court and CONCACAF's court. What are they going to do about it? Are they going to bring FIFA to a gridlock, which is the expectation? Are they going to refuse to attend meetings, which is the current expectation? Are they going to come out and say, we're not working with you on the Club World Cup? There's a meeting next week, as we revealed on talkSPORT, between Nasser Al-Khalifi and Alexander Shefferin on that particular topic. And most importantly, are they going to put a candidate forwards? Because Gianni Infantino wins unless the candidate comes forwards or he quits. At the moment, the direction of travel is Infantino is not going to quit. So now, once again, it's switched from ball in Infantino's court. What are you going to do? Are you going to cave to pressure? Are you going to get a mutiny from your leadership team? Are you going to quit? That was the intent of UEFA, to give him a decision to make. Infantino has just put a Roger Federer-style backhand into the opposition side of the net and said, return that. And now UEFA and CONCACAF need to go, what is our next step? Is it pushing for Victor Montagliani, the CONCACAF president, to stand against Gianni Infantino with the hope that he might start with 90 votes, 55 from UEFA and a further 35 from the members of CONCACAF that can vote? Or is nobody going to come forwards? And if we creep into September and there's still no counter candidate or rival, then Infantino's going to start thinking these Europeans are all words and all bluffs.
Yeah.
And at that point, over time, he'll start to grow confident that he will be the FIFA president once more.
Ben, one thing that you didn't suggest is UEFA wouldn't need to put a candidate forward if they just said we're going to boycott the World Cup while Gianni Infantino is still president. Can they not go, what's the likelihood of them going a step further and saying we're not participating in any FIFA tournament while Gianni Infantino is in charge?
It's possible, but then they have to speak on behalf of the federations and ultimately the players, and it requires a consultation, and there's less backlash when you've got a privatisation project that threatens to rip the very soul out the game. You can make a threat that's 4 years away for the Men's World Cup, even though, of course, there's other tournaments before it, and that threat was clearly exactly that, a power play to stop FIFA forward enterprise from going to a vote. As soon as the plans are removed, you're targeting the individual. And it's one thing saying we're going to boycott everything, but Gianni Infantino, to be fair, is perfectly entitled to say that's not the protocol and that's not the professional way of doing things, because there is an election. If he'd just been re-elected, maybe. But remember, there is a March election, and like Gianni Infantino or loathe Gianni Infantino, you have the opportunity to vote, and federations or confederations have the opportunity to unite and push for a viable candidate. And if that weight of opinion that is against Infantino translates to 106 votes, the vote of confidence or no confidence is via the election. There is a middle ground as well that's not as extreme as a boycott. One is the Club World Cup, because as I say, there is no location, no funding model, no solidarity payments, so it doesn't really exist. So what Europe could do is say, we're no longer working with you, so that project is almost not boycotted, as just kind of dismantled. Or 43 members could club together and before the election do a vote of no confidence on Gianni Infantino. And that's what I think is more likely. Either Victor Montagliani or another candidate that can unite confederations comes forwards, and then everyone's counting the vote. And Infantino will have to understand, has he got 106 or more? Or somebody says, no one's coming forwards today, but we can hold a vote of no confidence solely on Infantino in the coming weeks. And then letters, leadership support will be trumped by the football federations having a direct say on whether he stays or goes before the election. And that is also a possibility.
Ben, as ever, thank you so much for your great work bringing us up to date on all the very latest. That is our senior football correspondent, Ben Jacobs, with all the latest. I'm sure you can get more on the website, talksport.com, or you can get Ben on the socials with all the latest. We want to hear from football fans on this latest development with FIFA and Infantino this evening. He seems to be staying and he thinks he can get away with an apology. What do you think? 03717 223344.